The forest was quiet that morning. Near the path to Maharishi Valmiki's ashram, a woman sat beneath a large tree. It was none other than Sita Mata. The night's journey had been long. Lakshman had returned to Ayodhya, and now Sita Mata was alone in the unfamiliar forest. Yet she did not look afraid. Her face was calm, though her heart carried the sorrow. She placed her hand over her womb, where two tiny lives rested quietly. After some time, young disciples from Maharishi Valmiki's ashram passed by, who were gathering fruits and herbs. They noticed her, and sensing her gentle strength, they approached her with respect. They did not ask many questions. Children, in the forest, these disciples had learned that kindness matters more than curiosity. They softly invited her to the ashram, and Sita Mata gently rose and followed them. Soon, the ashram appeared among the trees. Simple huts, soft chants, deers moving freely, and students learning peacefully. When Maharishi Valmiki saw Sita Mata for the first time, he understood more than words could ever say, and so he welcomed her with quiet respect. Sita Mata bowed gently. She did not reveal who she was. She only wished to live in peace. The sages in the ashram gave her a new name, that is, One Devi, and the forest slowly accepted her as its own. Welcome, my dear children, and the amazing parents, to another episode of Ramayana series for kids.
Ancient culture tales.
Life in Maharishi Valmiki's ashram moved with a gentle rhythm. Each morning began with soft, sacred chants. The rising sun spread a warm golden light, and the young students began their lessons under the guidance of the sages. In this peaceful place, Sita Mata quietly became the part of the ashram family. Everyone knew her as One Devi. Only Maharishi Valmiki knew Sita Mata's true identity. She lived simply, helping in the daily work of ashram. Sometimes she gathered fruits and herbs from the forest, and other times she cared for the younger children, speaking to them with kindness and patience. Not just that, the animals of the forest also seemed to trust her. Deers walked calmly near her, and birds rested on the nearby branches. Sita Mata would often place her hand softly over her womb, as if blessing the children within. Even in her quiet moments, her heart remained strong, filled with love. The sages noticed her calm strength, and though she spoke very little about herself, her dignity and grace were clear to everyone. She comforted those who were worried. She helped those who were tired, and gently guided the younger children when they felt struggled. She simply lived each day with humility and courage. Children, as the time went by, a sacred moment slowly drew near. Time was going by gently in the peaceful ashram. The forest followed its quiet rhythm. Morning chants filled the air. The river flowed calmly, and the leaves whispered softly in the breeze. Slowly, the time of a sacred moment drew near. The women of the ashram gathered around One Devi, carrying her with warmth and respect, just like a family. Children, that night the forest felt unusually still. The sky was filled with bright stars, and a cool breeze moved softly through the trees. Inside the simple hut, Sita Mata, that is one Devi, prepared to welcome her own kids. Children, sometimes the greatest moments do not happen in grand palaces. They happen quietly, where only nature and the heavens stand witness. Soon, the peaceful ashram echoed with the cries of new life. One Devi had given birth to twin sons. The women smiled with joy as they held the tiny babies. Their soft cries filled the hut with warmth and hope. The word spread through the ashram. Sages gathered outside, offering prayers of gratitude. Even the forest seemed to celebrate. Two little boys had entered the world, small, innocent, and yet destined for something great. Children, next morning, the ashram felt brighter than usual. Maharishi Valmiki walked towards the small hut where one Devi rested with her babies. He looked at the two tiny children with deep affection and quiet joy. His wise eyes seemed to see far beyond the present moment. Children, sometimes great sages understand the future in ways others cannot. The babies lay peacefully beside their mother. Maharishi Valmiki smiled. With blessings in his voice, he named the elder child Luv and the younger child Kush. The names spread through the ashram like a gentle whisper. The sages offered prayers and blessings, wishing the boys courage, wisdom, and compassion. In the quiet forest ashram, without grand celebrations, the two princes received their names. And though the world did not know yet, Luv and Kush had begun their journey in the peaceful embrace of the forest. Days turned into months, and the two little boys began to grow. Luv and Kush spent their childhood surrounded by the beauty of the forest. Tall trees gave them the shade, and the peaceful ashram became their home. One Devi raised them with deep love and gentle care. She told them the stories of courage and kindness. She taught them to respect every living being. As they walked through the forest, she reminded them to greet the sages, care for the animals, and always speak with honesty and humility. Children, the values we learn when we are young quietly shape who we become tomorrow. And soon, everyone in the ashram noticed the nature of the two boys. Children, Luv and Kush were loved by everyone. Their laughter echoed through the forest as they ran along the river banks and practiced their lessons under the shade of the trees. But my dear children, their kindness was not their only strength. These two brothers were also very intelligent. They listened carefully to the teachings of Maharishi Valmiki. Their questions were thoughtful and their understanding was deep. The sages watched them with quiet admiration. There was something special in their nature, a calm strength and a bright curiosity. And my dear children, far away, another world continued its life. A great kingdom stood beyond the forest, unaware that its future was growing quietly beneath the trees. Children, this was the great city of Ayodhya. The streets were orderly, the markets were lively, and the people lived happily under the rule of Shri. The kingdom was prosperous and the citizens felt safe and protected. Children, this was the time known as Rajya, a time of fairness, honesty, and compassion. In the royal palace, Shri fulfilled his duties with complete dedication. Each day, he listened to his people and worked to keep peace in every corner of the kingdom. Yet, deep within his heart, a quiet space remained. A space filled with the memories of Sita Mata. A silence no one else could truly understand. And to honor her purity and sacrifice, Shri Ram had placed a beautiful murti of Sita Mata in the palace. It stood gracefully, almost as if she were truly present. Whenever the weight of the kingdom felt heavy, Shri Ram would stand before it in silence, remembering her courage and strength. Over time, some sages and ministers gently suggested that Shri Ram should marry again. They would say, "Maharaj, Ayodhya needs a queen." But my dear children, Shri Ram always answered calmly. For him, Sita Mata could never be replaced. She was his companion in Dharma, the one who had walked beside him through every joy and every hardship. And when the people saw their king standing alone, they remembered their past doubts. Many of them felt regret, and they understood that Shri Ram had always trusted her. Slowly, they understood the pain their words had caused. Yet, Shri Ram continued to rule with dignity, placing his people above his own sorrow. As the years passed, Luv and Kush continued to grow. The great sage Maharishi Valmiki became their guru. Beneath the shade of the forest trees, he taught them scriptures, dharma, and the wisdom of the rishis. Along with this, the boys practiced archery, learned discipline, focus, and fairness. But my dear children, Maharishi Valmiki was also engaged in something deeply meaningful. With great devotion, he began composing a divine story in beautiful poetic verses. That is the life of Shri Ram and Sita Mata. The story of love, sacrifice, courage, and dharma. Children, this sacred story is what we are listening now. That is Ramayana. Maharishi Valmiki lovingly taught these verses to Luv and Kush. He trained them to sing with clarity and devotion. And soon, their gentle voices filled the ashram with peaceful, sacred melody. Day after day, the brothers sang the life of Shri Ram, the prince who always chose truth, no matter how difficult the path was. And not far away, one Devi, that is Sita Mata, would listen quietly. She never interrupted. She simply stood in silence. Her heart became steady, listening to the story of her own life and the life of Shri Ram. At times, her eyes grew moist, yet her face remained calm. Children, the boys did not know yet that the story they were singing was their own. But slowly, quietly, destiny was preparing its path. In that peaceful ashram, a story was being written and sung that would one day reach the entire world. And very soon, my dear children and the wonderful parents, a beautiful surprise from ancient culture tales awaits you. Be ready for one of the most heart-touching episodes of this journey. See you all in the next episode. Jai Shri Ram!